wins that game, they clinch a spot in the semis and would, as the 0-1 pitch is zipped past the bat of Alex Terrell.
Yeah, much needed double play ball, though, for Orleans to minimize the damage after losing the lead once again.
Next pitch will miss for Menendez, so he'll have to shorten up on things a little bit here. It's been another really quiet day for the bats of Chatham, as again they have 0 hits, just the 1 error, the only number that's not round up there on the board. And here's another strikeout for Menendez as Terrell goes right through the off speed for strike 3.
I mean, we just keep seeing spectacular pitching from the Mariners. It's been remarkable the way what they've done so far.
Welcome back to White House Field. I'd like to apologize for the technical difficulties, as again we lost internet connection very briefly, but we are back on the air for playoff baseball, and let's get you up to date on what you missed. At the plate right now is Paxton Wallace, and not 100% sure where we lost connection, but Harwich still leads it 4-0. So far, Chatham does not have a single hit in this game. Antonio Menendez continuing to cruise. The first batter of the inning was Alex Terrell, who struck out, and here's Paxton Wallace down on strikes 2. It is going to be strikeout number 5 on the day for Antonio Menendez, and he continues to cut through the right-handers in this lineup, Colin.
Yeah, over the last couple of innings, both pitchers have been dealing, but unfortunately for Colby Kubicek, it was that one bad second inning that has made the entire difference in this game, as he's just kind of trying to tread water at this point with the way Antonio Menendez has been pitching this afternoon.
So let's really quickly update you on scores around the league, as coming to the plate now will be Colin Hall. The first pitch to him is going to be in there for called strike 1. The YD Red Sox are up 8-7 over the Orleans Firebirds. Again, if YD wins the game today, they move on to the semifinals in the East and will play the winner of Harwich and Chatham today or tomorrow. Falmouth Commodores and Bourne Braves are tied up 0-0, and Katuitt has expanded their lead. They now are up 12-1 over the Wareham Gatemen, as this pitch from Menendez misses low for ball 1. So a couple of competitive games going on. One certainly not competitive game, as Katuitt has just blown it open against Wareham, and with this foul ball, Menendez is on the cusp of finishing yet another clean inning.
If the Mariners were to advance, Game 1, of course, would be on the road for them no matter what, as YD and Orleans both higher seeds than the Mariners, although it would be much more convenient travel time if it was just right next door over in Yarmouth.
The 1-2 pitch, that's going to be chopped weakly. It'll be Menendez's to play. He can't get it with the glove, and that is tough. We'll see how they rule that. So that's going to be ruled a hit. Antonio Menendez's glove never touched it. And, well, that will break up, Colin, the 13-inning no-hitter that Harwich has had. Finally, it's Colin Hall getting on with an infield single for the first hit of the series.
Yeah, and that's going to be a hit, but it really is a ball that Antonio Menendez should have had. I mean, he just kind of, it's almost like he was afraid to go grab the ball as if it would have hit off his glove and gotten away from him, but instead it just goes completely past him, and enough speed from Hall to reach base with 2 away.
That was basically a token bunt down the first base line, and it ends up working out to put Colin Hall on base. So with 2 away, here comes Jorge Arenas. So far, he is 0 for 4 in the series with 3 strikeouts, and the first pitch to him is going to miss low for ball 1.
And if Chatham is unable to score in this game, that would put them at 3 consecutive games against Harwich in which they were shut out.
They have been shut out in 4 of their last 7 games. They have not scored even a single run, and say what you will, they may be resting up pitchers, but the lineup's done exactly what it should be. Harrington's going to get a chance to cut the runner down, but sliding in safely is Colin Hall, and Chatham finally has a runner in scoring position for the first time since the first inning, or no, sorry, not the first inning. For the first time since the 4th inning of yesterday's game, when Aaron Polensky came around to third base. They had the bases loaded courtesy of 3 Connor McCullough walks and couldn't make anything of it.
Of course, that hit for Colin Hall was their first hit since the 9th inning of their final game of the regular season.
Menendez sets. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. That'll miss low and away. Good block by Harrington to keep it in front of him. And Harwich is trying to keep the run off the board if they can. With 2 away, all they have to do is get 1 more out, and the inning will be over. Nobody up and warming in the Harwich pen right now, so it may be Menendez's game for a 6th if it comes down to it.
And this is a big test for Menendez, kind of getting over the adversity of having a runner in scoring position with 2 away. At times he has struggled in this situation, but let's see if he can get himself out of the jam.
Menendez sets once again from the belt. The pitch, check swing in there for strike 2. And Jorge Arenas now finds himself in yet another 2-2 count.
If Menendez is able to record the final out of this inning without giving up 4 runs, he would put himself in line for a victory.
Something he has not had yet, an 0-2 record, although again, that may be the most overrated stat in all of baseball. This pitch is going to get past Sean Harrington. They will hold the runner at third, but there is a run just 90 feet away now, and Menendez has a full count on Jorge Arenas.
Yeah, and even if Chatham's able to just get the 1 run across, that could maybe boost some life into this Anglers lineup that's just been anemic when it comes to putting the ball in play and getting guys on base. So maybe 1 run will be the spark that they really need.
Team has been completely dead for the last couple of days, but looking to get something, anything across home plate. The payoff pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Once again, Jorge Arenas is down on strikes. The 4th time of the series for him, and the 6th strikeout of the day for Antonio Menendez. We go to the home half of the 5th. Harwich still leading at 4-0 when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey on a beautiful Saturday afternoon for baseball, and it's been a good day for Harwich. They lead 4-0 going here into the bottom of the 5th inning, looking to pad a few more runs on. Let's get you caught up on scores around the league. The Katuitt Cavaliers have scored again, and I'm pretty sure they're going to continue scoring until either the decade ends or the game ends, whichever comes first. They lead 14-1 over the Wareham Gatemen, looking to even up the series. The Whitey Red Sox in the top of the 7th are up 8-7 over the Orleans Firebirds. And finally a score from Bourne as the Falmouth Commodores have taken a 1-0 lead over the Bourne Braves. Here it's 4-0, and Colin Colby Kubitschek, after giving up the 4-run second inning, has really looked awfully good, but the damage was done early, and that, once again, maybe all Harwich needs.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate for Kubitschek as he has been lights out since that rough second inning. He's had 4 strikeouts in 2 innings since then, but the throwing error really compounded things after a 2-run single from Terada. You'd think maybe they got a chance at getting out of the inning, but then the error allows both runners to move up, and they would soon be plated on a single from Dylan Noisy.
And I think it's worth noting, Colin Hall, in the 8th inning of a game on July 28th, 3 games ago, that was the last run that Chatham scored against Harwich, because if you'll remember, the very next day, Harwich won 11-0. Yesterday, they win 1-0, and now they're up 4-0 again going into the 5th inning. Next pitch to Dylan Noisy is in there for a strike. Count evens up here at 1-1 as we kick off the 5th, and there's got to be nothing more frustrating as an offense than just not being able to score against a team throughout 23 sustained innings of baseball. As the 1-1 pitch is on its way, that'll miss high, and the count goes 2-1.
And that's just a testament to how strong Harwich pitching has been all season long. We've seen them have a couple of rough patches. I kind of put rough in quotation marks because they really haven't been bad in those rough times, but they've really hit their peak at the perfect moment.
Noisy will watch that one for ball 3, so a 3-1 count here is Colby Kubitschek. Again, after giving up the 4 runs, he got a fly out to start the 3rd, hit a batter, and then struck out the next 4 he faced before getting Hal Hughes to ground out into an inning-ending 5-3. But here he will walk Dylan Noisy, who has reached base in all 3 of his at-bats today, and the speedster's on first once again to lead off another Harwich inning.
Yeah, he's just been a real catalyst at the top of the lineup this afternoon, and with him on base, we know there's speed on first and speed at the plate with a guy like Chris Gallen stepping in.
So Chris Gallen, who was grounded out into a double play in the 1st and then flew out in the 2nd, coming up for his 3rd at bat. Once again, he's due for a big performance, or at least a big hit. Noisy takes off. Gallen rips that one, but not nearly as deep as it felt off the bat, as Colin Hall will settle under it and make the catch for out number 1.
Well, it's certainly a good thing that Gallen got underneath that ball because had he lined that ball sharply and it stayed in the infield, that was for sure going to be a double play. But yeah, it looked like that ball was going to go a lot further than it actually did as it just hung up there. And Colin Hall really didn't have to move that far back to make that first out of the inning.
So here's Chris Lanzilli. Lanzilli himself is 0 for 6 in the series so far with a pair of strikeouts, looking to build something off of that. Colby Kubicek ready for the first pitch. Here it comes, and it's a fastball that misses low and away. And Colin, one thing we've noticed throughout this entire game, really good velocity on this Kubicek fastball.
Yeah, it certainly has been a lot of velocity for this fastball, but sometimes when you have a hard fastball, as we've seen at times with Joe Boyle, it gets turned around just as quickly.
Quick pickoff move over to first. Update from Katuit, and we should just turn this into a soundbite. The Kettleers have scored again. They're now up 16-1 over the Wareham Gatemen. Colin, you think there's a late comeback in Wareham again?
As soon as hell freezes over, yeah.
They came back yesterday, down a couple of runs in the final inning, and got a walk-off victory in Game 1. But I think it's safe to say in the bottom of the 7th inning, that is looking less and less likely as Kubicek continues to throw over on Dylan Noisy.
Yeah, and the big game for Katuit coming from Arajanu has actually been replaced, but he was 3 for 4 with 5 RBIs.
Bringing in some of the practice squad guys as Chris Lanzilli tries to hit one all the way out to Lowell Park in Katuit, but he misses on the swing, and the count is 1-1.
Yeah, the recent runs coming from, it looked like Cody Pasek. Yes, it was a 2-run double for him to right field.
So we're over halfway through this one. Noisy will start to take off. A called strike.
That was actually to make it 18-1. So that was in addition to what happened before. This game is still in the 7th inning, by the way. There is still at least one more set of at-bats for Katuit in this ballgame.
And, of course, in the Cape Cod Baseball League, and much less the playoffs, there is no mercy rule. So this game will continue going perhaps until the end of time. Of course, it is at Lowell Park, so darkness is a factor as to whether or not they'll get that in. Although, I don't know what the official rule is on whether or not they can call a game for darkness. I would think that they'd have to prioritize player safety.
Could be another one of those record games. I'm not sure the last time someone in the playoffs was able to score this many runs in the Cape League.
Here comes the 1-2. And that's going to be called strike 3. Late steal for Dylan Noisy. And he's going to be thrown out. Noisy let up. I don't know what was going on over there at second base as he completely took his foot off the gas. It was a late throw from Smith, and they got him at second. Yeah, he stands there on the bag in complete disbelief, but they did get the tag on him unless the tag missed. But according to what we saw, the glove of Polkovich was on there well in time, and that's going to be an inning-ending double play on the base paths for Dylan Noisy.
Yeah, just a strange play all around. I mean, a delayed steal, Lanzilli unable to make contact, and then a very good throw down nonetheless from Smith, and Noisy didn't even really slide. He wasn't kind of expecting the throw coming in, but it did, and it looked like it was in time. The question is whether the tag was there, but the umpiring crew said it was, and that's going to be the end of the inning.
So nobody left on base for Harwich in the 5th. We go to the 6th inning. Chatham still looking for their first run in quite some time here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler, Henry, Colin, Casey bringing you coverage of a playoff game. Harwich is up by a score of 4-0 here in the 6th inning. And Colin, looking at this Katuit game, it's not been the exact kind of game we'd expect.
Certainly hasn't been. I mean, this is really kind of just a mind-blowing game so far, and it is 20-0. Matthew Mervis, as we're talking about it, 2-run home run, 20-1 the score now from Katuit.
I'll tell you one thing, it's going to be tough for Wareham to rally after a game like this going into tomorrow, needing a win in a decisive Game 3 to try to make something happen. I mean, Katuit has just blown this thing open. Here, of course, it's 4-0. Antonio Menendez is back out for another inning. Nick Stewart warming up in the Harwich pen. Wonder whether or not he'll be used to try to get 3 more good shutout innings afterwards. But for the time being, it'll be Brady Smith at the plate. Smith is 0 for 1 today, and he'll watch this pitch be in there for a strike from Menendez. And Smith is 0 for 4 with a pair of strikeouts in the series, but that's something you can use to describe quite a few guys here in the last two meetings between these two teams. It's the 1-1 from Menendez, misses outside for ball 1. Ball 2.
For Brady Smith, it's been kind of a rough start to this series for him, but he is able to make contact, solid contact in his last at-bat with a hard line out in right field in the third inning.
2-1 swung on and missed. Menendez pulled the string there, and he gets him to whiff. So, again, Menendez doesn't have an overpowering fastball necessarily. It's relatively standard when you look at the velocity on it. But it's been the off-speed that's really helped him shine, as here he puts a pitch just off the plate. That one missing off the black, and the count goes full here on Brady Smith.
Mercifully, the seventh inning ends, and Katuitt managed to double their lead. It was, well, I guess double their score, as it was 10-1 going into the inning. It was 20-1 after it ended.
Payoff pitch, and that's going to be called strike 3. Brady Smith was halfway down the line, and he's going to be called out by Joe Caraco for another Antonio Menendez strikeout, the second of the looking variety. And here comes the top of the order with one away.
And that pitch right there has been the one that Menendez has been going to a ton, especially against righties. It's that two-seam fastball that kind of comes back over the plate on the outside corner. Perfect spot for it, and he picks up yet another strikeout, his fourth in his last 5 batters.
Check swing at the first pitch here by Cooper Davis, who is 0 for 2 here in this game. A strikeout and a ground out. Davis comes set. Here comes the 1-0 pitch. That's going to be in there for a strike, and the count goes 1-1 here on the Chatham center fielding.
I mean, as we're obviously paying attention to that blowout going on, still a very tight ball game in Yarmouth. 8-7 still the lead for the YD Red Sox.
This ball hit to Hal Hughes, who comes across near second base, picks it up, throws to first in time for out number 2.
That just automatic for Hal Hughes. A ball hit not all that hard from a fast guy in Cooper Davis, but Hughes just continues to make it look easy out there at shortstop. Didn't rush the throw and made a perfect throw in time, and Menendez just continues to keep on pitching his heart out.
He has been absolutely on fire, and the other thing to keep in mind, I'm going to get into this very cautiously in a moment, as the first pitch is a strike to Jamal O'Gwyn. If Harwich can secure the playoff spot today, you get to rest all your other starters. You're going to have Jacob Polish and Connor Seckler ready to go for whoever you face in Game 2, or Series 2, I should say, as this pitch is also in for a strike. You also are going to get to rest your other bullpen guys. Will Heflin will be very well rested, as will, depending on whether or not he pitches today, Nick Stewart, and then Joe Boyle will be ready to go. You're going to be locked and loaded for the second series as the 0-2 pitch misses low for ball 1.
And you're going to need that because how difficult both the teams in the other side of the bracket have been to play against on the road for Harwich this season. I mean, they have really had trouble playing against both Orleans and YD on the road, as that'll leave the count 2-2.
I will say this is a team that has fared a lot better against the YD Red Sox than they have against Orleans, going 1-5 against the Firebirds this year. And in all 5 of those victories, if I'm not mistaken, Colin, Harwich held a lead. So they allowed 5 comeback wins to that Firebird squad, and sometimes it just turns into a bit of a mental game and who you'd rather play, as the 2-2 pitch is fouled away. The other thing to consider is this is a team for the YD Red Sox that does not have the best of pitching staffs, and you really wonder who they'd be throwing in Game 1, if it would be, a guy like Arizona State's Eric Tolman or maybe somebody else, but who would they go with for a starter? Harwich, with the offense rolling, could certainly take advantage of it.
Yeah, I could see John Beller maybe getting a start. He's a guy that's seen Harwich a lot this season.
Certainly could be, as this pitch misses inside for ball 3.
And looking out elsewhere in there, as it was Legend Smith who got the start today in Game 2, and he didn't really have that great of a start. So, yeah, I think Beller might be the option for Game 1, but they still might have to play a Game 3.
Payoff pitch misses inside here to Jamal O'Gwyn. Of course, Harwich could also have to play a Game 3 if Chatham can come out on top today. And again, you look at the momentum that would be going the other way. Chatham would have a come-from-behind victory in the later innings of a baseball game and then get to go home to Veterans Field to look for one more. You want to squash that today if you're Harwich and take the victory, hopefully going into tomorrow with an off day.
Yeah, certainly. And another quick note on YD, a big advantage of whoever goes on to play, perhaps, a lot of hypotheticals in this situation, the YD Red Sox. Whoever would go on to have to face them won't have to face Jack Leftwich.
Here's a ball hit sharply to second. Acton will pick it up, and he throws on to first for the third out of the inning to retire Caden Polkovich. So that will do it for the sixth inning, at least the top half. To the bottom half we go. Harwich looking for a few more runs. They lead it 4-0. You're listening to Harwich Playoff Baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to Harwich Mariners Playoff Baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey. Nico Cavadas will lead things off against a new pitcher into the game for the Chatham Anglers. It will be Mason Hazelwood, who's seen some experience against Harwich this year.
Yeah, and he will have to relieve Colby Kubicek, who at the worst time had his roughest outing of the year, and it really wasn't all that terrible, just the one bad inning as Hazelwood starts out with a ball on Nico Cavadas.
Cavadas has already reached twice today, once on a walk, once on a hit by pitch, and the Mariners needing 9 more outs to get out of this one as Hazelwood's next pitch will miss outside to Nico Cavadas. Count goes 2-0.
Yeah, one of the big issues with Hazelwood has been control. He's among the top 10 in the entire CCBL in walks issued this season.
So with a 2-0 count, we'll see whether or not he gives Cavadas anything in the zone. The pitch is on its way, and that will get across for strike one. Knowing that tendency, Cavadas may have been waiting on that next pitch. The last time he came into a game against the M's, he went 2 2/3, gave up 1 hit, 2 runs, and walked 5 compared to just 2 strikeouts. His 2-1 pitch is a big cut by Cavadas, and he goes right through it for strike 2.
Yeah, that one took place back on July 28th in a 5-1 victory for Harwich right here at White House Field. He pitched pretty well, but again, just no offense to be found for the Chatham Anglers in this ball game.
Here comes the 2-2 from Hazelwood. Swing and a miss at a pitch well in the dirt. Cavadas will jog down to first, and the throw is going to be in time. So the first out of the inning will be via a Nico Cavadas strikeout.
Don't look now, folks, but the Wareham Gatemen are on their way back. A solo home run for Mike Antico, and the score is now 20-2.
Is it comeback season, Colin?
It very well could be. Only 18 more to go to make this a tie game, and then it could be 20-20. That would be quite the score.
You said that this could turn into a historic game, and a 19-run comeback would certainly be historic. My question is, even if they hit a home run on every pitch, as the first pitch here is a ball to Corey Acton, do they have enough time to score 18 more runs before darkness sets in at Lowell Park?
Yeah, going to have to run the no-huddle offense on that one.
And at some point, do we see Katuitt do what they're best at and stall? I think they might be best in the league at stalling for time. They already used that tactic against Harwich, and it did technically work as that game was canceled due to weather, but Harwich came back and got the last laugh in a 9-2 win later that week. Here comes Hazelwood's 1-1 to Corey Acton. Takes a big swing at that one and goes right over the top of the fastball for strike 2.
Yeah, on the mound right now for Katuitt is Harrison Cohen. And he is, in fact, a pitcher, so they haven't quite gone to a position player yet to pitch.
Here comes the 1-2 from Hazelwood. And that is well outside of the zone. He got Corey Acton to chase wildly at that pitch. So Hazelwood has 2 guys up, 2 guys down, both via the K. And here comes Joey Weimer, who is 1 for 2 today with a run scored and a strikeout.
Yeah, haven't been a real big fan of the last few at-bats from the Harwich Mariners. I mean, dating back to the entire time through the lineup, the last 10 at-bats, they have struck out now a big time 7 times in 10 at bats. So Harwich a little over anxious at the plate.
Hazelwood's first pitch to Joey Weimer will miss for ball 1. Mason Hazelwood, a guy with 5 different pitches: a fastball, a curveball, a changeup, a slider, and a knuckleball. So a jack of all trades. Not a guy who's going to throw the knuckleball very often. There's the slider, and it's in there for strike 1.
And definitely a pitch you don't see too often at the major league level anymore. A couple of guys that still throw it, including Red Sox pitcher Stephen Wright.
The 1-1. That is raked into straightaway center field, but plenty of time for Davis to settle under it and make the catch, and that'll be the 3rd out of the inning. To the 7th we go. Still a 4-0 lead for Harwich here on the Harwich Mariners Playoff YouTube Network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey, Nick Stewart coming into the game for the Harwich Mariners. But first, we'd like to remind you that today's game is brought to you by Cape Cod Healthcare. Urgent care is now available at 4 Cape Cod Healthcare locations: Hyannis, Falmouth, Sandwich, and Harwich. Open after hours and weekends, staffed by ER physicians. Expert care when you need it. Learn more at capecod.org/urgent care.
So with Nick Stewart coming into the game, the right-hander, that will close the book on Antonio Menendez, who delivered a phenomenal start for the Harwich Mariners in this Game 2 of the playoff series, going 6 innings, allowing just the 1 hit, no runs. He walked 2 and struck out 7, and Antonio Menendez continues to pitch really well in this ballpark.
Yeah, and I told you, I write in my scorebook that 1 hit in quotation marks because, again, it was a weak dribbler down the first base line that he just struggled to get his glove on. So at the end of the day, yeah, just the 1 hit, 6 strikeouts to only 2 walks. He allowed just 4 base runners throughout the entire game. And now they'll put out Nick Stewart, a guy who's already had success against this Chatham Anglers lineup. If you remember back to the second to last, or actually the final regular season game between these two, an 11-0 win for Harwich. He came in for the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings and looked immaculate throughout those, as he was able to throw 4 scoreless innings. Actually, he came in for the 6th as well, had 7 strikeouts and only 3 walks, and he'll be tasked with doing the same thing in a 3-inning sample size here today.
Yeah, Stewart, the king of 3-inning saves, he's got 3 of them on the season and might be in line to pick up a 4th if he's able to hold this Chatham lineup at bay. He will be greeted by shortstop Ben Ramirez. First pitch to the USC Trojan is over for strike 1.
Nick Stewart had just 1 rough outing throughout the entire course of the season, but other than that, he has been completely locked down throughout the course of this year. As this pitch misses inside, and it's with good reason. I mean, he's a guy who's got excellent off-speed stuff to match with a really good fastball and some really solid velocity on that thing as well.
1-1 is a fastball missing inside. You mentioned that 1 rough outing. It was actually the game I mentioned earlier, the 4th of July game, where Brewster came back to tie things up at 4. It was that big 3-run home run from Tyler Hardman, which was his 2nd of the game, and despite that, the Mariners still were able to pick up a victory as that ball is hit well out towards left center field. Chris Gallen lining, and he leaps and makes the catch as he's able to run that ball down in the gap and make a spectacular play to rob Ben Ramirez of extra bases.
And you know what? The saddest thing is that might be the 4th or 5th best catch we've seen Chris Gallen make out in left field. He has just been on a tear this year. He's always willing to sacrifice his body for the ball, and he comes up with another huge stop to keep another base runner off the paths for the Chatham A's.
So Ramirez robbed of extra bases, and with 1 away, Alex Terral will get a chance. A lot of speed in that outfield paying off for the Mariners. And it's a ground ball up the middle. It gets through Stewart, but Hal Hughes backing him up, makes the throw on to first, and it's 2 quick outs for Nick Stewart here in the top of the 7th.
Yep, and there's where the shift works to perfection as Harwich had Hal Hughes playing right behind the second base bag. He's in a good spot and able to collect it and fire on to first in time for the 2nd out. And here comes the pitcher, a pinch hitter, not the pitcher, but it will be Keaton Rice getting an AB in place of Paxton Wallace, who was 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts.
Keaton Rice, the normal catcher, left-handed hitter will get an opportunity here instead of the 0 for 2 Paxton Wallace, who really wasn't seeing the ball well. He struck out twice in his 2 plate appearances.
See whether or not Keaton Rice can have better success than his counterpart who started the game. Rice was not in the lineup at any point to face Nick Stewart the last time these two squared off.
So Rice takes a first pitch low and outside. He is hitting .214 on the year with 6 RBIs. And he is now ahead in the count as he lays off a couple of pitches just below the strike zone.
Speaking of breaking it open, the YD Red Sox have opened up an 11-7 lead over the Orleans Firebirds, so it's looking more and more like it will be a sweep for YD, that game in the 7th inning.
Line drive out onto the outfield grass. Good range from Corey Acton. He heads over and makes the play for out number 3. So it's a 1-2-3 7th from Nick Stewart and the Harwich Mariners. They are 6 outs away from advancing to round 2. Go to the bottom of the 7th. 4-0 Harwich leads. You are watching Harwich Mariners playoff baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Bottom of the 7th inning from White House Field. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry bringing coverage of Harwich Mariners playoff baseball as the Mariners are on their quest to pick up their 5th championship in team history, and they are one step closer. Well, they will be one step closer if they're able to hang on and pick up a victory this afternoon against Chatham A's. They lead 4-0, but still 6 outs to get, and in the meantime, it'll be Sean Harrington looking to pad this Harwich Mariners lead against Mason Hazelwood. First pitch is on the inside corner for a strike.
Yep, and Hazelwood's looked pretty good. So have most of the pitchers who have come into or Kubicek after the 4th or 2nd, and then Hazelwood after that. Harwich has had just 2 base runners, one via hit by pitch, the other via walk.
Big swing and a miss by Harrington, the Babson College product, who is 1 for 2 with a run scored. And the route continues, 22 to 2 now the score, as 2 more runs tacked on for Katuitt. As the 0-2 misses outside, Dante Williams with his 3rd hit of the game. He is 3 for 6. And that is now, I can't even tell how many RBIs he has because there's just been so many guys used in this game. As there's a flare out towards second and it is caught by Caden Polkovich for out number 1. I think that's 5 RBIs in the game now for Dante Williams.
Certainly a quality number one way or the other. So the route continues, and again, that's going to be tough for Wareham to bounce back in. As yes, they only need to win game 3 to go ahead, but after getting spanked the way they've been today, I mean, it's going to be very, very tough for them to bounce back after this.
Good news, of course, being they will host that game 3, barring a late comeback, as the first pitch to Riley Terada is in at the knees for a strike.
And wouldn't it be something if they can shut Katuitt out in that game and kind of wonder whether or not Katuitt used up all their runs in one swing?
So Terada, 1 for 2 with that big 2-run single way back in the 2nd. He takes a big cut at a fastball from Hazelwood, a good spot there, and Mason Hazelwood has been completely dominant since coming into the game last inning, and he's in line to pick up his 3rd strikeout if you get one more past Riley Terada. Hazelwood with the 0-2. Breaking ball misses just low.
So it's interesting, if you go back to Harwich's last 3 wins, the victory over Brewster in order to clinch a playoff spot, the win over Chatham in game 1, and then today, if today holds up, and again, there's no guarantee that that'll happen, but Harwich will have scored all of their runs in just 1 inning per game throughout those 3 games, unless Harwich can tack a few more on here, or, of course, Chatham comes back and gets a win.
Strike 3 swinging as Terada is K'd for the second time in this one, and Hazelwood retired each of the last 5 batters, and that is 7 in a row set down for Chatham, as they have been really doing a lot better since that second inning in terms of suppressing the Mariners' bats. So Hal Hughes gets an opportunity. He is 0 for 2 after going 3 for 3 yesterday. Looking to spark something with 2 away. Fastball catches the outside corner for a strike. And it looks like that's going to be it for Katua in terms of scoring, as this game is going to the top of the 9th with a score of 22-2 Kettleers.
Yep, 3 more outs to get, although if Wareham can find a way to score 21 runs in the course of the next half inning, then Katua would have to come to the plate in the bottom of the 9th. But again, I think darkness is going to be a factor before that happens.
Yeah, the sun probably going to set in about an hour's time. I don't even know if they can score 20 runs in an hour. We'll have to see, as fastball comes inside and almost clips the leg of Hal Hughes, but instead it goes harmlessly to the backstop, 2-1. Hughes out of LSU, is Tiger teammate Daniel Cabrera had to head home just before playoffs, a big part of this Mariners lineup. But other guys have been picking up the slack as another pitch comes in on Hughes and misses inside, 3-1.
Yep, Hughes, the guy who had the hottest day yesterday and carried the team basically more or less by himself to a win, with the exception of the 2 pitchers and Chris Galland. It's been a slow start for him, looking to bounce back with a 0 for 2, but all will be forgiven given game 1, regardless of what happens today.
3-1 from Mason Hazelwood is blooped out towards right field, falling quickly, and it is down for a base hit, so Hal Hughes able to make it back-to-back games in the playoffs, recording a base hit, and he's on with 2 away as the lineup card flips over.
If you had told me a couple of weeks ago that Hal Hughes was going to be the hottest guy in the Harwich lineup come postseason time, I probably would have shot you an interesting sideways look, but he's been getting the job done for Harwich, and he flips it over to the other guy who's been ridiculously hot. It's Dylan Noisy, who has reached base in all 3 of his at-bats. He's 2 for 2, 2 singles, 2 RBIs, and a walk, and well, here comes the pitching coach once again for the Chatham A's to have a word with Hazelwood, and that'll be the end of his outing.
So not just a word, he takes the ball from him, and we're going to have a new pitcher to tell you about when we come back, as Harwich still with a 4-0 lead with a runner on first and 2 away in the bottom of the 7th. So the new pitcher for the Chatham Anglers is going to be Dawson Merriman, who replaces Mason Hazelwood, who goes an inning and 2/3, allowing just the 1 hit just a moment ago and recording 3 strikeouts. I'm a little surprised by this move, Tyler, as Hazelwood looked really strong in an inning and 2/3 of work so far.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about a short leash. The guy had 3 strikeouts as well, so he's able to retire more or less everybody he sees. He gives up 1 little flare. It's not even like Hal Hughes really took him deep or anything like that. He just popped the ball up over the head of the second baseman, and that was all it took. So they will go with Dawson Merriman. The name sounds familiar. I believe he's pitched against Harwich at least once before. We'll get you an update on that here in just a moment. But again, a really short leash and an interesting move, because even if Chatham does come back and win today, they won't have a lot of pitching depth left to use tomorrow.
Yeah, it certainly will be interesting to see who they go with. I mean, Jeremy Wu Yelland would be an option at this point, but again, it's 1 game at a time. Right now, 1 inning and maybe 1 batter at a time for Chatham, as they really need to find ways to get some runs in the next couple of innings. But right now, they need to get out of this inning unscathed, as leadoff man Dylan Noisy steps in. He has reached base in all 3 of his plate appearances.
And Merriman did pitch against the Harwich Mariners in their 3-2 victory as the first pitch is in for strike one to Noisy. He had just 2/3 of an inning. He went and had got the save. No strikeouts, no walks, allowed no hits, no runs.
Merriman 2-0 on the season with a 3.52 ERA, as the 0-1 from Merriman and Noisy misses low and outside.
Yep, out of Midland JUCO, the right-handed pitcher, a freshman this year out of Midland, Texas. Led the Chaparrals in innings and strikeouts while posting a team-best 3.02 ERA.
Big football town out there in the heart of Texas. As 1-1 is a cue shot down the right field line. It is a fair ball. The third hit of the game for Dylan Noisy. He's going to try for two. The throw comes in, and it is wildly through the infield, but it is well backed up by Dawson Merriman. I was thinking Dawson McCarville of the Orleans Firebirds, but it is a two-out double for Dylan Noisy, and now two runners in scoring position with two away for Chris Galland.
Do you remember when Dylan Noisy was hitting a $150? Because I kind of don't. The memory has fled from my head. Again, he has just been on an absolute tear, and he's coming to life at the best time. He did dip down a little bit right before the postseason, but since that started, let's look at his postseason numbers. He is...
As real quick, a ground ball towards third, cut off. The throw is in time as Galland was hustling down to first, but Jorge Arenas able to make a strong throw, and the inning is over. Finish your point really quick, Tyler.
Yeah, sure. Dylan Noisy in the postseason so far is now, if my numbers are correct, 5 for 7 with 2 RBIs and a couple of extra base hits. And the at-bats when he hasn't been able to get on with a hit, he's gotten on one way or another. So he's been tearing it up at the perfect time for the Mariners.
He had that two-out double, but it goes by the wayside as the Mariners strand two in scoring position. We have played 7 from White House Field. Mariners still lead at 4-0. You are watching Harwich Mariners playoff baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. To the 8th we go from White House Field as the Mariners just 6 outs away from advancing to the Cape Cod Baseball League playoff semifinals, as they would go on to face the winner of the YD Orleans series. But so they get 6 outs here, and as of right now, it looks like it'll be up to Nick Stewart to get those final 6 outs.
Yep, and he's looked awfully good so far. Really no reason to even think about putting anybody else out of the bullpen right now, as Stewart's already proven he can go 4 innings against Chatham and not give up a single hit. We'll see whether or not he can do the same here in a 3-inning size.
First pitch swinging is Colin Hall, and he flares one out of play off to the left.
And really quickly, just an update for you on a couple of other games. There are 2 games in the 9th inning right now. One of them is between the Orleans Firebirds and YD Red Sox, and the other is the Wareham-Katuitt game. We'll get you finals on those. As really quickly, just as I say that, Wareham-Katuitt has gone final. It's a 22-2 win for the Katuitt Cavaliers, and the important thing is, no matter what happens in any of these games, tomorrow will be an off day for anybody who can manage to sweep.
So the Mariners looking to get that all-important off day. It's a hitter's count 2-1 for Colin Hall, who owns the only hit of the game for Chatham, and he swings through a fastball. It's 2-2 now.
And again, it was barely a hit as he just knocked a little dribbler down the line. Kind of sickening here in the 8th inning to think that Harwich could have potentially gone 2 full games with Chatham and not given up a single hit.
2-2 is swung on and missed for strike 3 as Stewart picks up his first strikeout, 1 away. And you think about it, it would be 2 no-hitters in back-to-back days in the playoffs after it had been 28 years since the last one.
Yeah, I don't even need to check the record books to know that's not something that's probably been done before at any point. And again, this Harwich team is loose. They're having fun. They're enjoying themselves. And more importantly, they're winning baseball games right now. This has been just a perfect couple of weeks for them. And they're looking to close out another all-important game here as Jorge Arenas, who is 0 for 2 with a pair of Ks, comes to the plate.
First pitch is a nasty breaking ball from Nick Stewart that bends back over the plate for strike one.
Of course, Jorge Arenas throughout the entire playoff series is 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts.
As bunt laid down, coming into barehand and throwing it away is the third baseman Terada, but Arenas unable to advance to second, and I think that's going to be ruled a base hit, as it would have been a really close play over at first. So they are going to give Arenas a bunt single.
Well, I know it's no consolation to the players on the field, but I feel better, as that would have been an actual hit that would have gone, or either way, it would have worked out for Chatham. So that would have broken up the no-hitter more legitimately, and now they can focus on just trying to keep more runs off the board with Brady Smith coming to the plate and a runner on first with 1 away.
Well, it's a catch-22, Tyler, because then you get into the unwritten rules of baseball and bunting to break up the no-hitter, so you can't really win either way. But regardless, now 2 hits in the ball game for the Anglers, both coming from the bottom of the order in the 7, 8, and 9 guys. So here's the 9-hitter, Brady Smith. First pitch fastball is way outside, and Harrington able to hang on to it before it goes to the backstop. Smith 0 for 2 with a line out and a strikeout looking. So he struggled to see the ball against Antonio Menendez, as did much of this Anglers lineup. 1-0 is in there for a strike. Anglers are the 1 seed coming out of the East, as they own the tiebreaker over Orleans, so we could very well see a 3 versus 4 seed semifinals, or Eastern finals, so to speak, as the 1-1 is on the outside corner.
Yep, there were 2 teams in the East that actually got to be presented with the Co-Champions Trophy yesterday, and, well, both may be headed for early exits here if Orleans can't find a way to come back.
And boy, wouldn't that be a great playoff series between YD and Harwich, 2 teams that have had phenomenal games against each other all season long, but both teams have to secure the victories here today, as the 1-2 misses just up and away. As far as YD goes, they are now 2 outs away from sweeping the Orleans Firebirds. 11-7 still the score, as it has been a phenomenal performance out of the bullpen for Jack Jettis, swinging and missing for strike 3 is Brady Smith. And speaking of phenomenal performances out of the bullpen, it has been a strong start for Nick Stewart as he gets a second out of the 8th.
It's been a strong couple of days for Nick Stewart, as he'll now face the top of the order. Colin, I got a little fun stat for you. So far in the 2019 CCBL playoffs, there have been a total of 82 runs scored between the 8 teams. Harwich and the teams they've played against have contributed 5 of those 82 runs and no more.
That is incredible. As first pitch swinging is Cooper Davis, and he hits it pretty well down the left field line, but it goes foul.
And, I mean, again, it's kind of easy. Looking at the box score, I don't even need to see the names of the teams to figure out which one of these was the Harwich game from yesterday. 8-7, 7-6, 3-2, 1-0. And then today, 22-2, 10-7 right now, 11-7, sorry. Falmouth Bourne, the only thing that resembles one of those games, is currently the Falmouth Commodores up 1-0, looking to sweep the Bourne Braves.
Braves looking to try to push that series to 3 games, as been playing the Commodores pretty hard over the last couple of days, as the 1-1 misses up and away. They have the pitching to hang with Falmouth, but the question is, can they get the bats going? Big issue that also has plagued the Chatham Anglers in this series, as they have only recorded 2 hits, and both of them have come in this game. 2-1 from Nick Stewart. Misses high, and that'll run the count to 3-1. So the runner on first, Jorge Arenas, reaching on a bunt single in between a pair of strikeouts from Colin Hall and Brady Smith. 3 balls, 1 strike to Cooper Davis. Stewart from the stretch, the runner goes. A line drive, and that is going to be a fair ball down the left field line. Getting a huge jump at first was Arenas. They're going to wave him in. The cutoff from Terada. The throw to the plate, the dive, and Harrington can't quite get the tag in time. Arenas is safe, and the Chatham Anglers have their first run of the series. It is a 4-1 ball game.
And it's important to note that while Harwich has felt in control pretty much the entire series, this is just a 3-run ball game. I mean, this is still achievable for this Chatham team. You talk about the offensive struggles they've had recently, but here's the top of the order. Cooper Davis with the double there. He's in scoring position. Jamal O'Gwin at the plate, and Caden Polkovich, who represents the tying run, standing on deck. Harwich needs 1 more out to get out of the 8th. and it would be a huge one, as if they could prevent the momentum from going any further here for Chatham. It should put a stop to anything sizable.
So first pitch swing is Jamal O'Gwyn, and he fouls it straight back. That was the double from Cooper Davis, an RBI double. His third RBI of the season, just had 2 in the regular season. But he comes up big with an opposite field double down the line to score Jorge Arenas, and now he finds himself in scoring position with 2 down. Nick Stewart's fastball misses just into O'Gwyn, who has walked twice as he continues to show great patience at the plate as he has all season long.
Yep, and again, O'Gwyn knows that at this point, a base runner is every bit as good as a hit, with Caden Polkovich and Ben Ramirez coming up after him.
Polkovich represents a tying run in the on-deck circle, but here's a ground ball to third. Terada fields it. Throw on to first is in time, so the Mariners only surrender 1 in the top of the 8th, and they head to the bottom half of the inning with a 3-run lead. Harwich 4, Chatham 1. You are watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. To the bottom of the 8th we go from White House Field. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry. The Mariners just 3 outs away from advancing to the second round of the playoffs, and it would be against the Yarmouth Dennis Red Sox as they have clinched an 11-7 victory over the Orleans Firebirds, and they are moving on, and they will host Game 1 of this series if the Harwich Mariners are able to get 3 more outs. But first, Harwich gets an opportunity to pad their lead, and Chris Lanzilli will lead things off. A quick defensive change to report. Keaton Rice now catching instead of Brady Smith.
Yep, not a bad idea there, and so Smith will slide out of that slot, and here comes Chris Lanzilli to lead things off for Harwich. And it's also interesting to note that with YD clinching a spot here, again, they do have the higher seed than Harwich, so Game 1 would be at Red Wilson Field if Harwich can hang on here. Game 2 would be back here at White House, and then Game 3 would be at Red Wilson again. They're going to get the same off day that Harwich has tomorrow if they can hold on.
0-1 misses outside, and the big thing as well would be now all of a sudden your Game 3 starter turns into your Game 1 starter for the next series, so the YD Red Sox will probably be able to get a high-quality pitcher for that Game 1 as Lanzilli falls behind 1 and 2.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There are not a lot of pitchers in the league I'd feel nervous about if I have Connor Seckler going Game 1 and Jacob Polish going Game 2.
Lanzilli swings and misses for strike 3, the 3rd time he has struck out, as he's been a bit of a rough streak ever since that huge tear he went on to end the regular season, but so far it hasn't really affected the team's performance, and Nico Cavadas will dig in with 1 away.
Yep, and there is an arm up and warming in the Harwich bullpen right now.
And it looks like it is Connor Seckler throwing in the pen.
They knew they might think about using Seckler. He was actually supposed to get the save yesterday, but with how well Joe Boyle was pitching, they decided to just leave Boyle out there for the 9th, and that seemed to work.
So it's a 2-0 count to Nico Cavadas. And he swings and misses at a pitch on the outside corner. Nico today reached base twice, still no hits. Walked in the 2nd, came around to score. He was hit by a pitch in the 3rd and stole 2nd, and struck out swinging in the 6th. 2-2 misses inside. So Vottis looking to reach base for the third time in this game and hasn't really had to put the ball in play to do so. Payoff pitch. This time he does. It's hit well out towards left center field. Going back at the track, the wall, and a running catch made out in left field by Colin Hall. He had to go a long way to catch that ball, and he makes the play just in front of the left center field fence for out number 2.
There's something about left field at White House Field that just makes guys turn into crazy good defensive players, as we've already seen a number of plays by both Harwich guys and others getting it done out there. So a good catch there to keep another batter off the base pass, and here comes Corey Acton.
He swings the first pitch and grounds one through the right side for a base hit. So Corey Acton breaks an 0 for 3 on the day, and he will reach base with 2 down in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, good to see Acton find a way to get himself into a good position and get on base, as he had been quiet the last couple of ABs. Here comes Joey Weimer, who himself is 1 for 3 today. That's one of the 4 runs scored back in the crucial second inning where Harwich put up 4 runs.
Acton singled the 8th hit of the ball game for Harwich to go along with 4 runs. Just the 1 run on 3 hits so far for Chatham, and 1 error that was crucial as it led to 2 unearned runs. It'd be a very different ball game had Chatham been able to get out of the inning with giving up just 2. McCarville looks over at first. Acton's got decent speed. First pitch to Weimer is breaking ball that catches the outside corner.
And with 2 away here in the inning, you get the feeling they're probably not going to get too risky with Corey Acton and try to send him on a close play. So we'll see whether or not he continues to take that big lead over at first, but likely not going to take off for second.
Check swing by Weimer. They appeal down to first, and he did go. So Weimer swings for strike 2. Mariners scoring all 4 of their runs so far back in the bottom of the second on a pair of 2-run singles. The 0-2 is chopped foul. A nice play over the third base coaching box.
Yep, a good job there by Coach Tebow, able to snag that one with one hand. We've seen him make a couple of good plays this year, and always got to keep your head up when Joey Weimer's at the plate. One guy who might actually rival him for hardest swing is new addition Sean Harrington. Take a look at him swinging in the on-deck circle. Similar to Joey, he doesn't use a donut.
The 0-2 comes inside by Weimer's feet. And you mentioned Harrington, another free swinger added to this lineup, and so far it's worked for him. He's got a hit in each of his games played and a run scored. So he has been producing for the Mariners at the bottom of the order. 1-2 is a breaking ball swung on a miss for strike 3 as Weimer is down on strikes for the second time in this one, and the inning is over. So the Mariners are 3 outs away from advancing to the CCBL semifinals. 4-1 is the score from White House Field. You are watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. The Harwich Mariners 3 outs away from advancing to the semifinals of the Cape Cod Baseball League playoffs in a date with the Yarmouth Dennis Red Sox. But first, got to get 3 more outs, and the Mariners send in an interesting choice for a closer in this one. It is going to be Connor Seckler. We've seen made a ton of starts this season. He replaces Nick Stewart, who goes 2 innings, allowing 2 hits and striking out 2 batters.
I mean, they used Seckler earlier this year. He came in and was able to get a save. I forget who it was against, but he did come in to close out a game in the ninth, and you got to think only pitching 1 inning today, it's a good way to keep him fresh without necessarily putting him in a position where he's not going to be able to come out and pitch in the next series. So he'll face 3 more guys, Caden Polkovich, Ben Ramirez, and Alex Terral at the least with a 3-run lead, and Harwich looking to send themselves into the second round with a date with the YD Red Sox.
One defensive change, Sean Harrington comes out behind the plate, Pat Winkle goes in, so the UConn catcher will do the catching duties for Seckler, and the first pitch from Seckler is spiked to Caden Polkovich, who is 0 for 3, reached base on a fielder's choice way back in the first. Polkovich, one of the top RBI guys in the league, and he swings at the first pitch and hits it well. Right field, Weimer looking back, turns around, and it's gone. A leadoff home run for Caden Polkovich in the top of the 9th inning, and Chatham has life. The lead is now 4-2.
More importantly, they get the momentum that they had in the 8th inning back, as you know, they had the runner on second. If things had continued, it could have gotten dangerous, and they have now cut the lead to 2 runs. It's 4-2 Harwich, needing just 3 more outs in the inning. Very quickly, they're going to get an arm up and warming in the bullpen, and it looks like Will Heflin.
So Heflin slowly tossing, and you have to wonder if he will be used in this one, as the lead is now down to 2 with Ben Ramirez coming to the plate. Seckler looks to rebound, but his first pitch is a fastball that misses inside.
Yeah, the interesting thing, I mean, again, when you look at the matchup at least, is Seckler comes in as a righty, throwing to a couple of left-handed bats back-to-back.
Big swing by Ramirez, pop up left side, Terada heading over towards the dugout, but it'll make its way into the seats. So it's a 1-1 count to Ramirez, the USC Trojan, who is 0 for 3 in this one with a couple of flyouts and a ground out. Just has 1 hit against Harwich this season, the 1-1. Is a cue shot lined right towards the Harwich dugout. Look out over there.
And of course, I mean, that would be the most demoralizing thing of all for Harwich if they had this much success against Chatham, and then if they blow it late in this game again. Chatham has all the momentum going into a game 3 at their own home stadium.
The 1-2 is a breaking ball, swung on and missed as Seckler ties up Ramirez in knots. He strikes out, and the Mariners are 2 outs away from securing a victory.
Yep, and here comes Alex Terral, who in this series is 0 for 5, 1 strikeout, 1 walk. So he's reached base once. He'll be looking to do it again here and get things to Keaton Rice, if that is who they decide to bring up to the plate.
Terral just 2 hits and 18 at-bats against Harwich this year. First pitch fastball on the outside corner.
And right now it is Keaton Rice who is standing in the on-deck circle, so looks like they will stick with him for this next at-bat no matter what happens.
Now the 0-1 from Seckler. Breaking ball that misses down and in.
Let's remind you really quickly of what Seckler's got to work with. Fastball, slider, changeup, cutter.
1-1 is over for a strike, and Terral hit one pretty well to lead off the second inning. Just missed a home run as it sent Dylan Noisy all the way back to the fence in center field. The 1-2 pitch is a jam shot out towards center. Noisy barely has to move, and he makes the catch as the Mariners are 1 out away from advancing to the semis.
It'll be Keaton Rice to come up. He's 0 for 1 today with a lone ground out. Yesterday, of course, Keaton Rice was not in the lineup.
So Keaton Rice will get his second chance at the plate. He grounded out in the 7th. 3 strikes for the Mariners to advance. There's one as it catches the outside corner. Caden Polkovich led off this inning with a solo home run, but back-to-back outs recorded by Connor Seckler. The 0-1 is just inside. Tying run in the on-deck circle for Chatham if they want to extend this series. The 1-1 is up the middle. Tough play for Hughes. Sliding, he can't make it, as it's going to be an infield single for Keaton Rice, and that will bring the tying run to the plate in Colin Hall.
I mean, even by Hal Hughes' standards, that would have been an incredible Gold Glove caliber play if he had been able to come up with it, and really did all he could. He knocked it down. He's going to keep the runner there. So here comes Colin Hall, who does have 1 single today. It was the weak contact dribbler up the right side, and so far in this series, he is 1 for 6 with 1 strikeout.
And we're going to get a pinch runner for Keaton Rice, and Tyler Dones will take his lead off of first base. We've seen him used in late situation games all season long, and he represents not the tying run, the run to cut the game down to 1, as Colin Hall, not a ton of power at the plate, as he did not hit one over the fence during the regular season and had just 6 RBIs, but a golden opportunity to keep this game alive for Chatham. Seckler working from the stretch for the first time, and his first pitch hits Colin Hall. He puts him on with a hit by pitch as Hall is crouched down in some pain, but he will take his base, and that will put the tying run on first and the go-ahead run at the plate, and guess who? Jorge Arenas.
Yep, everybody remembers Jorge Arenas came up in a tie ball game at the time 4-4, and he had a home run off the scoreboard to give Chatham a 5-4 lead. They would go on to win that game 6-4, and here comes Coach Berger to have a word with Connor Seckler. Will Heflin continues to get loose in the bullpen. He's been thrown into a couple of these scenarios this year already. You wonder whether or not they're going to go to him or whether they'll stick with Seckler here. And again, an interesting move here to bring Seckler in out of the bullpen, something he's done just once before this season. And so far, I mean, he needs one more out, but he's put himself in a precarious position.
That home run from Arenas came off of Blake Espinal, and it gave Chatham at the time a 5-4 lead. They would go on to win that game 6-4, and as the mound visit is over, Arenas will get his opportunity in the regular season. Jorge Arenas against right-handed pitching. 217, no home runs, 4 runs driven in. So Jorge Arenas into the box, the Stetson product. 2 runners on base, a look at second, and the first pitch from Connor Seckler. Breaking ball in there for strike 1. Arenas 1 for 3 with a single and a run scored. That run, the first of the ball game last inning. Scored on a double from Cooper Davis. Seckler's 0-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2, and the Mariners are 1 strike away. Crowd coming to their feet. Keaton Rice on second, Tyler Dones on first. No balls, 2 strikes to Jorge Arenas and 2 away in the top of the 9th. Long look in from Seckler. He comes set. Now the 0-2. Breaking ball that misses outside.
And no real surprise there, going outside with that pitch and trying to get Arenas to chase. He had one to play with. See if he goes at him here with a 1-2 count.
Prevent defense from the outfield. The 1-2. In the dirt, Winkle is able to keep it in front of him. Dones took a pretty large secondary lead. He was almost halfway down to third base, but he retreats.
Yeah, smart play by Winkle to keep that in hand, though. Not risk the throw down to second and risk airmailing it into center field.
So Dones on second, Colin Hall on first. A 2-2 count, 2 down in the inning. The pitch from Seckler. Swing and a miss, strike 3. The Harwich Mariners sweep the Chatham Anglers, the top seed in the Eastern Division, and they will take on the YD Red Sox in the Eastern Division semifinals. The final score from White House Field, the Mariners win it 4-2 in 9 innings. So Harwich continues their dominant pitching in the playoffs, and for Coach Steve Englert, his team continues to get stronger as the season goes on, and despite being a 4 seed, they will advance to the second round and have a shot at winning their first championship since 2011. We'll have post-game when we come back. The Harwich Mariners win this one and the series by a final score of 4-2. They sweep the Chatham Anglers, and they will take on YD in round 2. You are watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. welcome back one last time to White House Field, where the Harwich Mariners have punched their ticket to the Eastern Division Finals against the YD Red Sox after sweeping the top-seeded Chatham Anglers in the 3-game series. They win today by a final score of 4-2, and despite some late fireworks, including a 9th-inning home run by Caden Polkovich, Tyler, it was the big 4-run second inning for Harwich that got the job done.
Yeah, and now going back to Harwich's last 3 wins in a row, they've had 1 inning where they've scored 4 or more runs, and that's been all it's taken. Or sorry, 4, 4, and 1 for Harwich. So again, a couple of big innings for them. It's been all it's needed. And again, when the offense clicks for an inning, they can turn around and utilize the pitching to get it done the rest of the way. So a big victory for the M's, and they will play the YD Red Sox in round 2 of the playoffs, but both teams will get an off day tomorrow because of the Katuitt result. No games will be played tomorrow in the East.
Now, looking ahead to that playoff series after a hard-fought victory today, it's going to be interesting to see who ends up pitching that game 1. A lot of options for both teams, but we do know that Harwich has had a little bit of trouble playing against the YD Red Sox, especially at Red Wilson Field. They're 1-2 on the season, including getting blown out the last time these two teams played at Red Wilson Field. What do you think is going to be the difference maker in that series, Tyler?
I mean, again, I think the offense has been playing so well recently that you have to take all those previous games with some grain of salt. And also, the Chatham, or the YD pitching has not been great all season long. So get ready for Harwich to come out and really shine with the bats. And again, they're going to have 2 of their best pitchers in Connor Seckler and Jacob Polish, probably ready to go for games 1 and 2. Those are 2 guys I really like out there for the M's.
As of right now, that game looking to take place on August 5th, 2 days from now, as the Mariners are going to enjoy an off day while the rest of the series finish up, as we've got a couple of games, including the Wareham Gatemen. After not getting the job done, they'll be hosting a Game 3 against Katuitt Kettleers at Wareham for that game tomorrow night. The win in this game goes to Antonio Menendez, his first of the season, and boy, does he really deserve it after going 6 innings, giving up just 1 hit, walking 2, and striking out 7 in a gutsy performance in Game 2. Loss goes to Colby Kubichek, who is now 2-3 on the season. Kubichek, just the 1 bad inning in the second that did him in. He went 5 innings pitched, giving up 5 hits, 4 runs, 2 of them earned, walked 2 and struck out 6. And those was 2 unearned runs on a throwing error by Colin Hall that really made the difference in that game. And that's why Harwich came away with a 4-2 victory. But the Mariners also getting a save out of Connor Seckler, his first save of the year. So the first win for first win for Antonio Menendez, and the first save for Connor Seckler punches the Mariners' ticket to the semifinals of the Cape Cod Baseball League playoffs. One last time from White House Field, Harwich Mariners knock off the Chatham Anglers. Final score in this one, Harwich 4, Chatham 2. We will bring you radio coverage 2 days from now for Game 1 between the Mariners and the YD Red Sox, as those two teams go toe-to-toe to determine who will represent the East in the Cape Cod Baseball League Championship Series. For all this here in the Harwich Mariners broadcast booth, for our producer Matt Lucy, for my broadcast partner Tyler Henry, I'm Colin Casey. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you 2 days from now for Game 1 of the Eastern Division Playoff Championship Series. So long, everybody, and we will see you in 2 days.